This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy! Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Cat Bus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guest and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Okay, I'm all set with the materials I need. So, this is a bonus episode of 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Bus Russ. This is your host, Cat Bus Russ, and I'm just unwinding from day one of Fan Expo Chicago 2024, and, I was able to manage to have a good time. Fortunately, I didn't really have to get up moving too early, stay the night up in the Hilton, the Rosemont, O'Hare, Hilton, what have you. It's right across from the convention center. Not our usual stay. Rory and I, the Poetic Critic, I should say, usually stay at the Doubletree if we're rooming together. Otherwise, I'll push it out all the way out to the casino in Rosemont. And just, Uber, or if I was there, I was probably with my ex, Allie, and we were probably getting a ride in from my father, who was the chaperone for the big sister. So, but I digress, how things have changed. Don't expect, I should say, the Poetic Critic to jump in on this bonus episode. We ended up getting separate rooms, and that was made possible by my dad, who's doing really well after a heart attack and a stroke. It was interesting getting here, and my dad, I know he was making changes. He was insistent I figure out how to get, online check-in, which it's Hilton. I used to work for the company. Not that difficult, but very insistent when I stopped in. And then when my older sister didn't really want digital keys, and so when I finally got to I checked the reservation, saw me and my sister were listed on it, and there when I got to the desk, the clerk said, "Oh, he changed the name to you," and it's like, gosh, he keeps himself busy. I mean, this is a man who likes to micromanage, and I hope he can make a hobby of that instead of getting too strenuous with the grandkids. Sorry, Charlotte, John, and little Addie. Oh, but I digress about that. So I really wish you probably would have gotten an idea of what the rooms look like. I mean, I'm a professional wrestler, underemployed. I do think the idea of Cat Bus Russ, the wrestler, could work. Just bump me 9 times and go over. I just have to look cute. The King of Chonk style. I digress. Kind of a pulling off from my Tigger Mask number 4 from AEW. And, I might talk about a little AAW stuff later on. Still trying to find guests for the Sunday podcast that we're doing live at the Creator Stage. And to be honest, I'm a little nervous because I got there trying to scope it out. And, where's the microphones? Oh, shoot. Am I supposed to go get myself my XLR, which is obviously back in Champaign? Do I have to I'm sure I can figure it out. I've just have to screw my parking and hit a Best Buy, I suppose. I know they sell XLRs now. I don't know where I would know that from. I digress again. So I stopped trying to scope it out. There's a panel by a YouTuber, I suppose. He's actually a professor, I believe, at the Illinois State University. Let me see if I can pull up his info. He was hosting a panel about, I think it's What You Love, and pulling her up now. Schedule. Sorry. Oh, real time. What can you say? And let me see. Well, I wanted to try kind of check out anime hot takes, cause a little chaos, but lo and behold, there ended up being a panel I checked out called like I was trying to get to the see how long I'd sit in on the What You Love Fan Expo Chicago Cosplayers panel to get to a panel called Underrated Gems, which was from a, let me get her name. She did a good job for everything it was. Let's see. And I don't see her name listed, but she's going to be doing an Avatar: The Last Airbender panel on Sunday. I know she did another one tonight. So keep him busy. I don't want to say dress as Inuyasha because, I don't know new anime, but hey, it was fun. I got to, she gave her first anime, which I didn't capture the name of, and my Wi-Fi wasn't great. So I don't know. I'm going to try. It was on Crunchyroll, she said. And sorry to make all those noises. But she also recommended Blood Sea, and she had not watched the Blood Plus or the original VA Blood, or maybe even a movie. I had a conversation with a guy, basically me and him bonding over being old men pointing at arguing at the clouds. Some kids were saying, when I was younger, Naruto wasn't popular. I was picked on for that. And it's like, kids, he popped in first. Like, you don't know what anime not being mainstream is. And, I was like, he's talking about getting fan subs from somebody in Slovenia. I'm talking about buying Evangelion tapes once a month for the better part of 2 years, since they couldn't quite get that out. They were good for one after another every month, and then you got to volume, I think it was 10, 11, 12, and 13. I think that was due to the backlash towards the conclusion of Evangelion, Neon Genesis Evangelion, I should say. And the ending is famously disappointed the people, and they eventually went and did the Death and Rebirth and End of Evangelion movies. And I was talking, shoot, you're looking for fan subs. I was happy to get a Chinese subtitled tape of Evangelion Death and Revert, Evangelion Death and Reborn. Evangelion Death and Rebirth. Yeah, I should just say it like Evangelion, like everybody else says, but I have my cat named Ava, so I'm gonna pronounce it to honor my furball. And I was also saying, I guess it's gonna be a big day today, the 17th, Saturday, when this episode is going up. And with that said, it's supposed to be big for Has Been Hotel. Probably the voice actors doing a panel, which, hey, gives me something to think about doing. So it's going to be, as I say, it'll. But really, the thing was, I had two women, one dressed as Charlie, the other as Vaggie. And it's like, oh, I hope they're I'm holding off, as a just got my hair cut and my beard trimmed, so face looks younger, hair lots of gray. What can you say? But it's like, oh, how do I approach them? I don't want to seem like the creepy old man watching kid cartoons for these and millennials, what have you. No, I know that's it's got Keith David in it. I know it's for us. With all that said, like, I was just hoping they would be staying at the Hilton. I think they were at the Hyatt Regency across the street. But it's like, oh, if I could get them into an elevator. And I know, oh, great, Russ, we're getting dirty. No. I wanted to get them into an elevator so I could just take the selfie with them and then say, we're on an express elevator to hell. Going down. To pay homage to Bill Paxton as Hudson in Aliens. And I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to check out Alien Romulus with the Poetic Critic and her beau. But, and I kind of find it funny that her beau's name is David, which is our father's name. And I wanted to make jokes about it, as in, like, geez, you already went and found your replacement, David, after my dad's weekend. But, I don't know. I find myself probably to be the Stevens with the best sense of humor. Like, I'm more than happy, willing to roll and take a joke. My little brother is pretty quick-witted and funny, but he can't take it. And my little sister, is not, just doesn't, she'll get more upset. Rory, on the other hand, she just gets disappointed that I went there. Like, I can't recall that I went for some cheap ones, like her boyfriend asking her as we're having lunch at the Murray Brothers Caddy Shack, which, look, I know Bill is the most famous one, but come on, let's give the brothers a little credit. So they had, like, I would rather, dare I say, see a poster for JFK than Bill Murray's jersey from Space Jam. That's what I was looking for, yes. I'm just going to IMDb. Sorry if you're hearing the typing. It's going to be a lot probably if we're when we're doing the panel on Sunday. Dang, 3 hours and 9 minutes. I mean, JFK might, I don't want to say it's Oliver Stone's best. I think Platoon is that, but Bill Murray's brother played Jack Ruby in the movie, and let's see, it looks like they're doing it by order of appearance in the movie. I think it's Brian Doyle Murray. I know it was his brother. Come on. The Wi-Fi in the hotel is not great. Let me see. Jack. No, Brian Doyle Murray. Yes. And actually, that was something brought up in the Mark Hamill panel. I think about how he's going to replace. He's going to portray the Flying Dutchman in the new SpongeBob SquarePants animated movie. I think it's A Search for SpongeBob, something like that. Instead of Brian Doyle Murray, which, yeah. But I'm just saying, couldn't we get a poster for JFK somewhere in there? I mean, I guess, Brian Doyle has a big picture drawn of himself at the, as you enter the Caddy Shack, kind of on a sandwich board. But a little more love for the guy, that's all I'm saying. So, yeah, I guess let's get back to the panels I checked out. Or, you know what, let's take a side track and go to the artist floor. So, here is my main goal today. There's just not a lot of interesting dealers this year on the floor. Not the artists, I'm saying dealers. Exhibitors, I guess might be the term. Like, you have some classics, but I didn't see Hairbrain around. We got a few lightsaber places, and BYOS, I think it is. It seems interesting enough. $100 less than what Disney is, but, no ceremony, so it's kind of disappointing. If you talk to the Poetic Critic, Disney is all about the pomp and circumstance. So I like when it came to the floor though. My big deal was I want to do Cubby Pool or Cubs Pool, Wrigley Pool, what have you tomorrow at the Marvel meetup. Meaning, shoot, I got to get up early for the convention. I think that's pretty much right when they open type thing. See if that gets me any attention. Get some people asking me about, hey, what's this I Dig Crazy flicks buttons you're wearing? Hey, do you have stickers? I might have overpriced myself today. I don't really think by that much, honestly. Like, we're gonna probably have to start moving these and get into the Patreon game soon. So, I digress with that. But yeah. So yeah, I wanted to find a Deadpool mask. I found one, and then it's just, okay, yeah, you wear glasses for us. So that was interesting, trying to figure that out. As for the cosplay, it was kind of cool that I was doing Captain N, and more people are recognizing it now. So that's very cool. Talked to a guy who's, I'm sorry, it's very tough to be Gambit right now because everybody wants Channing Tatum. So I didn't get a selfie with him. I got a selfie with a man and a woman playing X-23 and Wolverine, I'd say, from the Singerverse. So not the current Wolverine that we're following in, I think, Earth 1025, what have you. As I say, there's some good cosplay. Nothing too innovative. I think there was a Harley Quinn Star Wars Trellick, which was kind of cool. I saw the same woman who always has the reverse bear trap from Saw as a prop. But it was kind of fun. Me and my older sister and her boyfriend were dressed as Ness and Paula from Earthbound. Mother 2, as I was saying it. No, Captain N can take a picture with you guys. I'm 8-bit. You guys were 8-bit. Mother Earthbound, no. Yeah, so cosplay was alright. Nothing really, as I say, it stood out too much. And as I say, it's just very tough. Like, a guy who's obviously in his 40s, I suppose Channing Tatum's got to be getting there as a Gambit. So, but he was cool, recognized me as Captain N, and but the Captain N cosplay may have got me in trouble. So first, when I started going around and got to the artist alley, which tells you how bad the lack of exhibitors. Like, I just want my harebrained underwear. There were guys who were selling cool watch bands for Apple Watches or phone cases even. And nothing like that. I might buy some tights tomorrow, or leggings, I should say. But yeah, so I get to the artist alley, and a guy notices my buttons for I Dig Crazy Flicks. And asks, hey, oh no, that's kind of cool. Well, this is what I'm doing. And he had a comic book, First Class 5. The gentleman is Chandler Borman, and I was gonna do it. He caught he saw me, addressed me, and hey, yeah, I'll buy a comic book. And I said, a comic book, and he said, a comic book, because I pulled out a 20. I don't have a 5 on me. That's gonna bite me. That person begging at the Walgreens in Champaign. So, well, no, that's a cool donation, man. I'll sign it and everything. And no, that's very cool. Kind of something you expect, though, at a Comic-Con. So the guy, in other words, just didn't have change on him. So he was just doing what he could. And, hey, I guess that's a good hustle. And maybe that's how I move stuff when I get to the point where I can get an exhibitor's table. Well, we'll find out. I don't plan on that in 2024. As I say, I'll start trying to move my stuff on Patreon. So yeah, I kind of felt a little cheated, but there was a guy across from him, selling the gentleman's Brian Folk, and it's Brian Folk, Brion Folk, Foulke, with a comic book called Flipside, actually graphic novels he's been working on for about 20 years. And he had a great sales pitch. He's just standing there with with a sign over his face saying hi, kind of like I think Bob Dylan did it first, throwing the notes away, and then something Sammy Guevara for you wrestling fans, true wrestling fans. AEW is the place to be. Sammy Guevara would do during commercial breaks, picture in picture, and he told the story of his protagonist, Maytag, is a jester girl with split personalities. Bernadette is her nightly bodyguard. Didn't say anything about that. He immediately brought up Maytag's bisexuality and nymphomania. So, hero's journey, jester, so kind of Harley and Quinn inspired. So, Crest is just an ordinary young man with a crush on his favorite entertainer, the jester girl. And, I look forward to reading that one. Great art. Very kind of middle of Americana and manga. As for First Class 5, Chandler is hoping that it's going to be the PG version of Invincible. So, hey, gotta love the ambition. The art is pretty solid, well colored. I'd say what I'm looking at is probably, production wise, maybe an $8 comic. So I only got screwed out of $12, and that's how we'll look at that. Well, and otherwise I didn't really try to address too many of the artists. I try to save that for the last day, but that's a lot of killing time. There just wasn't a lot of panels otherwise until since I wanted to try to see what's going on the creator stage. And while I'm pulling all that to catch back up, I'm going to go to, for Chandler Borman, you can find him on Twitter at First52056. That's FIRSTFIVE2056 on Twitter. Good. He calls it Twitter still instead of X. But, hey, I don't think it's going to be around too much longer. Which, with that being said, I did finally, middle of the week, get back with, Nick from In Love with Movies. He was on our Zombieland episode. Very, very quick and efficient guy when he knows he has to be, because we did that between my two jobs on a Saturday. Got back to me, and we're gonna it should be a guest. I don't know if it's this month or next month, but we'll be talking about I Heart Huckabees. I was kind enough to hold back on saying Trainspotting's my autobiographical movie, and my love movie is I Heart Huckabees. I can't, but now it's like, did I show? No, I had to have shown Cindy that. She was my second official girlfriend. It's a movie that Stephanie and I shared a bond over after Stacia passed, and something her boyfriend wouldn't understand, which, thank God she didn't end up with him. So hey, patience paid off with that one, getting arrested for domestic battery after she jumps off a roof after kicking my ass. I can point out the scars on me if need be. So I digress. Hope you're doing well, Steph. So I found a Deadpool mask, and really like the only Deadpool mask available. And then it's after getting back from the panel, it's like, oh shoot, I wear glasses, so how are we gonna do this? I had to go get the glass strap off my sunglasses in the car. But I had to make numerous trips because, I put my keys in a drawer because, hey, I'm not going to need those. So I had to come back up to get those and then back down and get ice for my NAS. So I will be caffeinated tomorrow. And that glass strap. So currently drinking the Rekorderlig Premium Swedish Hard Cider, the naturally flavored blood orange cider, and you can tell it's naturally flavored because it's like the best one they have is strawberry lime, and I've kind of discovered that when I was in England. I think it was Crow Burger, may have been the name of it. And then so it was a Swedish cider, same premise, and the bar I had it at threw lemons in, so not lemons, limes in to add to the flavor. So very strong on the strawberry. I had the berry record lyric, and it's good, but yeah, I think everybody sadly has caught on to the lemon strawberry, so very hard for me to find. Honestly, I bought these because I figured, well, this is something Rory could get into, hopefully. As I say, I don't think it's... The blood orange is very blood over orange. So, I've been cooling those in an ice bucket. That's a disadvantage of the hotel. And the other thing, going back to the hotel, is there's a nice little love seat. So, really, I could have probably brought somebody up. Bow which wow wow, I think. Or, just a buddy. Because as I say, I'm a wrestler. We sleep where we can and whatever's cheapest. I've shared beds with guys. Totally platonic. So, it goes back to a guy I hope to hear back from this weekend. AAW guy. AAW. The former All-American Wrestling, based in Berwyn. Yeah, I kind of kicked myself last weekend with all the excitement on my dad's health scares. I was just hanging out with my older sister and got into Svengoolie instead of AEW Collision. So it's almost like I need to get cable just for the DVR. Hopefully AEW will just be on Max. But, and I'll get to that eventually. So I did find the Deadpool mask. I don't know. It's really cheap, but it's the only one I could find. So, and then, yeah, I should be ready for Cub Pool tomorrow. I think that'll, just hit the Marvel meetup and go from there. I got the Nike baseball pants. I decided I'm going to go with my muffins from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic belt instead of, finding a Deadpool belt or a traditional baseball belt. I'm just kind of disappointed they weren't selling frickin' stirrups, or I couldn't find them at Dick's. But they were on display. I'm sure they had them. Baseball socks, But I'm a traditionalist. What can I say? I love stirrups back in baseball. I don't like players wearing pants so long that you're going to step on them. I mean, I have enough issue with that just being a short little fudger. But back to the panel. I'll probably take a break in a few bits just to show some of the other work I've been doing on the podcast for the podcast. The first panel I got to, the podcaster is Dr. J. Scott Jordan, aka Zombie Scotty, who I think does his own podcast, What You Love. I looked to see, well, if he's a podcaster, I better listen. And basically it was all just solely about cosplay. He was going to ask 3 questions. Question 1, what do you love about cosplay? Me, I don't really... Captain N's just easy and quick. And whoever gets it, gets it. How'd you find it? That's not hard. You go to cons. And especially with me being a wrestler, dressing up is kind of the thing. And 3, how do you keep it in your daily life? And all I can say to that, and sorry I didn't give you these answers, Scotty, was all I can say is I'm always looking to add on to it. But that's primarily more of a wrestling thing. It's kind of like the only reason I respect Triple H is watching the Mick Foley, I think it's the Have a Nice Day documentary DVD, which wraps up his career in 2000. And Triple H is saying, well, I watched a movie and I'm trying to figure out how can I add this to wrestling. But so needless to say, as Captain N, it wasn't really, I don't think I was really cut out to do anything on that, especially when everybody is 20 years younger than me. So I'm going to take a little break to give you a review of a movie I bought on iTunes, And basically, I need to ensure that we can write it off of my taxes.
And now, a feature presentation. Oh, very well. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Get ourselves some snacks.
And here is a review for a film to justify the purchase being a write-off for I Dig Crazy Flicks LLC.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
Sorry.
National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. From out of the night comes two men with enough courage, enough brains,
What you got, Irv?
Dandruff, seborrhea, maybe just dry, itchy scale.
Have you tried this? I use it.
Head and shoulders?
enough bullets,
I know what you're thinking, punk. Did he fire 173 times or 174?
to get the job done.
Hey, Scotty! Can you get this machine to work? I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. If I push it any harder, the whole thing will blow.
New Line Cinema presents the cop movie to end all cop movies.
Give me a name.
Are your parents supposed to do that?
Hey, Sarge, it's tingling.
That means it's working.
Do you sleep in the nude? Only when I'm naked.
They know never to screw with me.
Really the next girls.
Is this the big checkout? Come on, level with me.
It's not bad. You'll be fine. You'll be back on your feet in no time.
National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
So, this is Mr. Screw with your brain, eat your spleen, wear your flesh as a hairnet leecher, huh? Look who's Mr. Scaredy Pants now. I just gotta ask, what does human flesh taste like?
Chicken.
See it before they make the sequel.
And I've just completed revisiting Loaded Weapon 1, or dare I say, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, a parody of the buddy cop genre of the 80s, primarily Lethal Weapon, with your leads being Emilio Estevez and Samuel L. Jackson. And of course, this is pre-Pulp Fiction Samuel L. Jackson, so before he's about to blow up. So perhaps a poorly timed movie, just as things worked out. It may have just been the first sign of oversaturation of the parody market in the 90s. Soon after this, you'd have Hot Shots Part 2. After that, it kind of all went bad downhill. Spy Hard. A lot of it was just like, well, maybe it was the lack of Leslie Nielsen, I guess, is why they continued these movies and thinking Loaded Weapon 1 was an anomaly. It's a fun film still. Is it as good as, say, the Naked Gun from the Files Police Squad? No, I wouldn't say that. It's definitely, the comedic writing isn't that as strong. Feels a little easier to watch though, because you're not looking for what joke am I missing here, and it doesn't require a rewatch. It's just great background noise essentially. You could just watch this instead of a Lethal Weapon movie, or at least the ones I've seen. I've seen 1, I've seen 3. So, and I hear 4 is not really worth it. I know 2's a classic, but I will get there, I suppose. It's got some notes, I guess. Honestly, it plays the soundtrack well. It does successfully capture the vibe of Lethal Weapon franchise, as I was stating, which isn't an entire genre. I guess it's just so focused on that feature, unlike the Naked Gun, where it's all about just trying to play up on all these old police dramas from, the 60s and 70s. That makes the story feel a little easier to get into, and I'd say keep your attention, because there's some scenes in The Naked Gun that do kind of drag, in my opinion. Well, I guess the big thing is these guys, all the actors here, are just having fun. Most of them probably were only on the set for a day. There's numerous cameos: J.T. Walsh, F. Murray Abraham, Whoopi Goldberg, Frank McRae as the police chief before he was going to be the police chief in The Last Action Hero, which came out the same year. So funny little things like that. And it is able to shoehorn parodies of other stuff. Great parody of the interrogation scene from Basic Instinct. And they keep playing up the gratuitous beaver in this feature. When it comes to the plot, it's Whoopi Goldberg is murdered by Tim Curry. And you give Tim Curry an accent, it's going to be fun. But I have suggested that anytime it's Tim Curry with a Eastern European accent, maybe we should just use Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin. Everything could be better probably with the two wild and crazy guys. So, just an observation. Whoopi Goldberg killed by Tim Curry, who's working for William Shatner, who's doing a Richard Dreyfuss impersonation. In the meantime, the two cops on his tail are Goldberg's ex-partner, Samuel L. Jackson, and the psychotic narcotics agent, officer, I should say. They're both Metro Police Department. And they say it takes place in Los Angeles, some great gags with subtitles and such, but everything's referred to as Metro Police Department, or a flashback where it's Metro Elementary School, stuff like that. It all centers around Shatner's plan to smuggle cocaine-laced cookies nationwide via the Wilderness Girls of America. So it's kind of like Showdown in Little Tokyo with Kari Hiroyuki Fugawa trying to smuggle ice, crystal meth, across the country using a brewery. Lots of easy parallels. So it's a fun movie for fans of 80s classic B movies, I guess. Just something I'm looking through as I'm trying to pick out all the cameos. And one bit, it's like, oh, let's see, what is it? Denise Richards is a backup singer for Dennis Leary. It's kind of funny because I would really think Kathy Ireland, who plays the female lead, I guess. No, it's not really a female lead, but you know what I'm saying. The highest billed woman in the cast. I think she can outact Denise Richards. So I'll have to watch Alien from LA to further verify that. But just an observation. If you need to make yourself a loaded weapon cocktail, I was talking to Tim Bates about this. It is a heavy pour of Jack Daniels, a heavy pour of Stoli, a heavy pour of Bushmill Irish whiskey, and generic chocolate syrup. And my other note is that I wonder how Mike Myers felt about this feature, because it ends with a parody of the Wayne's World headbanging sequence, which leads into Love Kills, the Giorgio Moroder and Freddie Mercury collaboration for the Metropolis 80s rock and roll soundtrack version that Giorgio Moroder was responsible for. Again, and it's John Lovitz in there, so, you know, Mike Myers always had that reputation with being a hard ass on all his past SNL guys, including Dana Carvey, so it's just a little observation. I don't think it really adds up to much. I mean, in the end, it's just a very fast movie. It's under 90 minutes. All the jokes you can appreciate, which I think is kind of what I appreciate, enjoy more from these parody comedies. While Naked Gun, it's constant joke after joke after joke. Everything has to be a joke. This kind of just lightens, says, hey, we can't be funny all the time. Or if we just do that, then maybe the audience will tune out because it's like, oh, there's a joke, another joke. Oh, geez, come on. Are we going to move the story along? those are my observations. I think it's a fun film that is incredibly rewatchable and better than maybe the rest of the Lethal Weapon franchise. Again, I'll have to watch Lethal Weapon 2 at some point, but until then.
Hello there.
Thanks for enduring any technical difficulties since I'm recording this in a hotel room, and of course air conditioners are going to be running, and Wi-Fi is not too grand in here, so everything's working a little harder. It's just something I discovered. But thanks for letting me get that underappreciated or underrated gem out of the way and get back to our experience at Fan Expo. With that being said, let's get to the underrated gems panel. As I say, the person who hosted isn't listed on the app for Fan Expo. But I brought up the fact she brought up the Blood series. A lot of stuff on Funimation. There's an anime about a princess I'm trying to find. I don't think she was very clear when stating the name. And really what it became is more or less anime and video games. I'll put it that way. So after she suggested her first anime, Young Girl, it was just one of those, like, I think maybe she was doing Herbert West, but she wanted to talk about Reanimator from 1985, a classic. And it's kind of weird, just, I don't know, she was very shy in getting up there, and I think it's kind of like, well, she's probably not that young, and, you know, people, like, we really just gotta stop putting trauma upon, or start recognizing that, hey, they're having an issue instead of, that something needs to be worked around, and cared for, and I think she had great support, but very shy, and wasn't really comfortable with the concept of the, they said, just say SA, I'll just say it, sexual assault, elements to Reanimator. I mean, I'll just say it, there's a scene where our antagonist, who Herbert West has decapitated, but brought back to life, is able to operate his body and his severed head separately, and basically he's got our Barbara Crampton, so you know it's a good horror movie, nude on a slab in a morgue as he's trying to build his army of reanimated corpses, and he wants to go down on her. So he's got his head, and nothing happens. It doesn't get to that point. Our protagonists come in to attempt to save the day. And she brought up Bride of Reanimator, which is a fun one. Not as good. But, hey, they killed the dog, so kind of a good movie, especially after they killed the cat in the first one. And she didn't really want to bring up Beyond Reanimator. And honestly, I was trying to help her along. I don't want to be a dick, but, I don't know how to explain Bride of Reanimator, and I said, how about Bride of Frankenstein? And then she needed the third movie, the sci-fi original, and I said Beyond. And, really could have gotten into a chat with that. I hope to see her at 90 for Chill, the podcast, on Sunday at 2 p.m., Creator Stage. I brought up the anime series Speed Grapher and brought, okay, this is going to be very creepy. But, you get Rubberman, evil dentist, anti-American capitalism. How could you not like it? And I brought up, first chance I really got to brought up in a crowd, that I liked subdued colors in my anime. I should have brought up it was from Gonzo, and I probably should have said the title again. So, but then it became solely anime and video games, and television. And our host brought up how there was backlash to Kung Fu Panda 2 because it was too dark, and then they lightened it up for the third and probably the fourth, and it's like, and people are getting on that, and it's like, look, it's solely a money thing. You can't, parents are the ones who are going to take the kids there. If parents don't feel comfortable, they're not going to come. And then they changed the subject on me and kind of concluded the panel. But, I think I did pretty well. Only talked to one half of the room, though, when I'm looking, because it was very awkward. They did not have microphones for people to ask questions to. That's why I worried that I'm not going to have an actual microphone or two at the 90 for Chill, the podcast panel on Sunday. So, hey, we'll see what happens, of course. And, otherwise it was sitting in the queue for the Mark Hamill panel. I was in the absolute last row. There were seats, but they had immediately started sending people to a second to overflow room. I hope they had fun. Me, I'm just more or less, I don't want to lose my spot, but I had a heck of a time getting my Mac Attack mac and cheese, which was really good. It was a basically your typical like Mexican restaurant now, where you just walk down the aisle, pick your toppings, and go. I really wish this is what I Heart Mac and Cheese, which is no longer in Urbana, should have been, I guess. And this is essentially a food truck. So I had a cheddar and Gouda with really thick bacon, and throw some shredded cheddar on there to try doing the mix it together thing like they encourage at Noodles and Company. So, but some of it fell out as I'm trying to walk to get in the queue. At one point, I nearly lose it, and my hand gets in there. So, for about 10-15 minutes in the queue, I'm like, I don't want to leave my spot. I'm here, but I don't want to bug people around me, because it's either people talking their ear off, and like, oh, there was a guy who was so bloody annoying behind me, who decides, hey, it's a good time to have a conversation with my mom about planning a trip to Seattle. Like, or geez, dude, we don't need to hear it. It's something I can't stand, especially in retail. Just people on their phone having phone calls. Like, one, text messaging, and two, it's like this is when you're out and about, this would be your place to detach from your obligations of friends. Like, I'm sorry, I'm out and about. I don't have time to talk to you. No, we're just going to... And I freaking hate people who have earbuds and just having a conversation because you can't really tell. Like, oh, are they talking to me? You're like, come on, guys. Be free. Oh, but I digress. So, yeah, but a gentleman in front of me was very cool. Let me skip and said he'd vouch for me, and no problems were had. And the panel is great with Mark Hamill. It starts with a guy who just keeps doing every panel in Chicago, and he works a lot, so I don't know how he manages it. Giancarlo Esposito, and he just going off, I am Mark. He didn't do it as Giancarlo, he did it as Moff Gideon, and he's on stage with a guy in Vader cosplay who didn't have a great voice box, just very generic stuff. A couple stormtroopers and a Jawa, a lot of Watini jokes, and just basically saying, "Come on, join me, and let's get that green little big-eared bastard." And then we got into the panel, which was a lot of fun. It was just Mark, and I feel bad for the people who are like, "I'm gonna get in the queue to ask questions." No, it's just Mark Hamill going to shout, ask, "Hey, what do you want to talk about?" And honestly, I wish we would have had a moderator, because it's just basically Joker. All right, well, here's a story about this, and how my agents were hoping I'd get Alfred just for the more checks since he's in more episodes. And then people asked about Carrie Fisher, and like, no, I don't want to talk about Carrie Fisher, but he was very candid about Carrie Fisher and talking about how he's how she was just extremely open and candid, and like, I don't know if you should be telling somebody you just worked with for maybe 3 months about all of this, and just him being a naive military brat. It's fun to find out he graduated from Yokohama High School, and then he keeps bringing up the movie Sweet Charity, and I have not seen that in a long ass time. But it was, it keeps bringing up, I'm in a room and I'm the only person I don't know, something like along those lines. Like, everybody in the room is famous, but this was basically when he was invited to Carrie's, birthday party after the film wrapped. And he had fun with Harrison Ford, and he told fun stories about Robert Watts, who was a producer on Star Wars, and always like, what should I address you as? Is it Mr. Hamill, or is it just Mark? And Mark said, well, I just told him, hey, you can just call me Hey You, as long as I'm getting paid. And from that day hence, he's been solely referred to as Hey You by his producer on Star Wars. So, but he brought up a lot of good things about Star Wars, like the feminism of Leia, just basically saving the day in the garbage in the the detention center. Just taking the piss out of Luke, immediately going out, I could smell your vile stench when you came aboard. To Darth Vader, fearless, righteous, I think is probably the thing to do. I'm gonna be freaking scared of a 7-foot guy who has a lightsaber and can choke people with the Force, which was fun. The warm-up guy, Victor Danwich, was bringing up, like, just basically when we finally got in there, he was just saying what TV shows or movies need Jedi, and just saying how that's not going to work, and no, Andor doesn't count. And I had a conversation with David. David thinks that the Stellan Skarsgård character is essentially a fallen Jedi. So we're gonna get our magic in season 2, according to him. So that was the Hamill panel. He was also talking about how much how Star Wars worked out. Like, he thought it was going to be huge, despite Lucas didn't like the posters, so you only have publicity stills at the Chinese theater. But yeah, people were around the block to get into that movie. With that said, as well, he brought up the fact that, I mean, imagine what he did. He got $1,000 a week, and I got to get into pictures because it's funny when professional wrestling, and you hear about the guys down in WWE developmental at one point, probably could still be the thing, only make $500 a week, and and I look at it, and I spend too much, so I definitely need more than $500. Yeah, I say that, but it's like I manage it. So I mean, I make $600 on one job, close to $800 on the other. So I'm doing okay. I mean, I get by, and I make some risky. I mean, I've always pulled myself out of it, and I'm in a good position when it comes to my debt that I can figure it out. I'm just worried that I'm going to go bankrupt personally before the business I did, Crazy Flicks LLC, goes bankrupt, or the IRS says no, you're doing a hobby. But it was like, should I be doing Star Wars? I'm only making $1,000 a week when I could be making $10,000 an episode on primetime television sitcoms. And his agent told him that. But a lot of insights on the voice acting. As I say, he's going to be the voice of the Flying Dutchman in the new SpongeBob animated cartoon and movie, I should say. Let me get in here. Come on, Russ. You can work faster. Mark. There we go. Mark Hamill. Upcoming. So, The Life of Chuck is something he's doing with Mike Flanagan, and I really got to catch up on that. He's going to do a voice in The Wild Robot. And, SpongeBob, the SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants. So it's in pre-production. He's done a lot of voice work. Good friends with Tom Kenny, which is interesting. But he tells how Harley Quinn really came to be from Batman the Animated Series, and just the entire experience. Like, he didn't want to be the Joker. Like, he wanted to be on the show, and that kind of gave him the confidence to actually win the part. And I think Tim Curry had actually recorded 3 episodes. He didn't bring up Tim Curry's name, so who knows? It might be a sore subject on that. But I think Tim Curry got an honorary Emmy for Peter Pan and the Pirates. So I think it all worked out. It's not like I'm asking for 2 wild and crazy Jokers. Let's replace Tim Curry with Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd. Another thing though about Star Wars, the experience, he said it was basically like he's reading it, and like he only read his part for the audition with Harrison Ford, the screen test, and he thought he was Harrison Ford's sidekick, but then you read the script, the title of the script, the Luke Skywalker, Luke Starkiller Saga, first story, Star Wars, like, oh shoot, so... Which makes me think of Ice Pirates, because basically that's what Star Wars would have been if the 35-year-old was the lead character. And I think that kind of helped Guardians of the Galaxy, that 2014, of course, I think Chris Pratt is probably a year older than me. Might be my age, might be younger. But that's what we're talking about. So he kind of did it at 35, but I don't know. Basically, Guardians of the Galaxy is just perfected Ice Pirates. That's what I will say. Go see the Ice Pirates, though. Ron Perlman. Yeah, so I think that pretty much covers all of Fan Expo Day 1 for me. I kind of disappointed I didn't see the Adam Savage panel, myth busting, but hey, I gotta do the legwork. I'm a business owner now. I did Crazy Flicks LLC, so I still gotta get that domain, use a Squarespace promo, all that bollocks. But yeah, but it's this good place, good time. It lets me think things down the road as I try to make 90 for Chill bigger, and try not to worry about my other work issues. It's just a weird email saying, "Oh, your PTO was not approved, was canceled." It's like, okay, maybe I requested too many days. Like, I know one's not my availability that I did. But, hey, I'm just trying to cover all bases. So hopefully that gets straightened out. Hopefully good things will happen there. But, you always worry because there was a big computing, had to be a glitch. But if it wasn't, I'm screwed. It's going to be a write-up, and who knows? Big money. But it's in our favor, I will say that much. And now I'm putting the confidentiality, like, well, we know where he works. You can listen to the Zombieland episode with Nick from In Love with Movies. So yeah, but I did have fun. I will say that the wings were a little skimpy and too pricey at the Caddy Shack. But hey, if it works as a write-off, I'm all right with that. But the burgers looked good. I should have just... I don't know. I didn't know what they had ordered. I was late. I took the wrong turn. I basically had to walk around an entire Chicagoland block to get there, and I was only 5 minutes late, so give me some credit. And, definitely got my rings closed on my Apple Watch. So, yeah, very worthwhile day, and I hope we'll get something similar to today, the 17th. And yeah, just got to keep looking forward to and making the best of things. So, thanks for helping me out with that. Thanks for listening to 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Bus Russ. If you want to be a guest on the show, hey, might be a chance to run into Cub Pool. Hey, I can maybe get you on the show this weekend, Sunday, 2 p.m. I digress, though. But yeah, looking to have more fun, which is the big thing. And thanks, Station Marie Harden, for keeping an eye on me and allowing me to keep my head straight to do that. And I hope Skimble Shanks, the one-eared angel, is annoying you with his talkative little mouth and his fluffiness. I say sometimes that he's the reincarnation of Stacia, and then it's like, or he's just an extension of me. But have a good night, and thanks for listening to 90 for Chill, the podcast.
Can I hear a wahoo?